Help me reach 3,000 subscribers. Hit like and leave a comment. I really do read them all. Ben was shuffling cards when Hannah leaned back on the bar stool and said, loud enough to bounce off the kitchen tile, "Ethan's great at fixing shelves, but let's be honest, he's not exactly the guy who can satisfy me." She winked at the table. Laughter, a few choked coughs, the kind of noise people make when they don't know where to look. I reached for the bowl of pretzels and set it in the middle like a referee placing a puck. Ben glanced at me, awkward. Marcy rolled her eyes at Hannah, then shrugged like, "What can you do?" I snorted once, quick and dry. "Good to know there's a competency matrix," I told the room. "Send me the rubric." I drew a card, laid it down, and didn't give her the stage she wanted. But the words didn't leave. They sat in the corner like an uninvited guest. If I'd understood where that sentence was headed, I'd have left right then and saved myself a couple months of chess I didn't need to play. We finished game night. I washed the platter I'd brought. Ben clapped my shoulder at the door, silent apology in the pat, and I answered it with a nod. Hannah didn't miss a beat. More jokes, more performance on the porch. The cool night air hit my face. It didn't clean anything. At home, she kicked off her heels so they skidded under a chair. "You didn't have to get all stiff about it," she tossed over her shoulder. Everybody was laughing. They were checking if I was going to fall over. I replied, hanging my jacket. "That's not laughter. That's bracing." "Oh, stop. It was a joke." "Then here's my joke. If you're going to use me for material, do it without me present." I picked up her shoes, parked them by the door. Second joke. "Next time that happens, I'm walking out. No announcement. Keys, wallet, air." She scoffed, hand in the fridge for sparkling water. "You're overreacting. You always do this when you feel exposed." "I don't feel exposed. I feel uninvited." New rule. Separate cars to group stuff. If you want to be interesting, you don't need me as a prop. Also, trivia Saturday. I'm out. "Ben's going to be crushed," she said, flat as a cutting board. "You're making this weird." "I'm making it clear," I countered. "Clarity beats weird." "Fine," she said, almost cheerful, which for her was code for bored. "I'll go without you." "Do," I answered, and took the spare key fob off the hook and dropped it in my pocket. I moved to the counter, opened the little notebook where we tracked bills. "One more change. The joint card is for the mortgage and utilities. Your personal purchases? Use your account." "Same for me." She folded her arms. "So I can't buy groceries with it now?" "Groceries, fine. Receipts in the tray. The tray that's been empty for 3 months." "You're seriously policing a tray?" "I'm seriously not funding my own roast," I said, and turned the page in the notebook. "Baseline courtesy. If it's too much, enjoy trivia night." She gave me that flat stare people use when they're trying to decide if you're actually going to do what you said. I held it. After a beat, she broke first, popped her can, and wandered to the couch. "I'm sleeping in the guest room," I added. "Nothing dramatic. Just don't feel like hearing you scroll videos at midnight." She didn't answer. I grabbed a pillow, my phone charger, and closed the door on the sound of her show. The pillow was lumpy. I slept anyway. In the morning, she was cool as ice water. "Coffee?" she asked without turning from the machine. "I've got it," I answered, filling my travel mug. "I'm heading in early." "Big day fixing shelves?" "Apparently that's my lane," I said. She flinched at the echo, a tiny twitch, then composed herself. "I'll text you about Saturday, if you change your mind." "Text me about the mortgage due date," I told her and left. At work, the hallway smelled like dust and printer toner. I manage facilities for a small real estate firm. Leaky faucets, contractors, access badges. It's not glamorous, but everything you touch has a reason to exist at the end of the day. My guys, Luis and Marco, were arguing about an elevator. I signed a work order, assigned Marco to the elevator, and buried myself in the list. By lunch, the noise from the morning had faded to a hum behind my ribs. At noon, Hannah pinged me. "We're doing comedy night Friday. Ben's getting tickets. You're coming." "No," I typed back. "Separate cars for anything social." "That starts now." 3 dots appeared, vanished, reappeared. "So you're punishing me?" "No, I'm opting out of being your routine." A few minutes later, she pinged again. "I'll swing by with a salad. We can talk like adults." "Text only today," I answered. I'm slammed. At 12:40, she walked into the lobby anyway. Bright lipstick, bright tone. Tessa, her friend from yoga, trailed behind like a closing argument. "There he is," Hannah sang out. Mr. Boundaries. Hi, Tessa. I nodded. Lunch crowds outside. Tessa smiled too wide. We were nearby. Figured we'd save you from your desk. I told you I'm slammed, I said, keeping my voice neutral, steady. Also, this is my workplace. We won't be doing relationship theater here. Hannah's smile froze. I brought your favorite. I'll take the salad. I cut in. You can leave it at the desk. We're not talking. Tessa chimed in. She's trying, Ethan. I'm not grading effort, I replied. I'm setting rules. Hannah opened the paper bag, pulled out a salad, and set it down hard. So you're not coming Friday? No, I answered. Ride with your fans. Tessa bristled. That's rude. What was rude was last night, I said, not looking at Tessa. You were there. You laughed. I thought it was a bit, she muttered. It was, I said, and I'm not in it. I lifted the salad. Thanks. Hannah stared, as if debating whether to escalate or pivot. She pivoted. Okay, fine. Enjoy your elevator empire. I will, I told her and walked back to my office. I ate the salad. It was good. I gave her that. At 5, my phone buzzed again. I'm sorry about the joke, she'd typed. It crossed a line. Dinner at home? I'll make that pasta you like. I stared at the screen. First softening. Textbook. I'll be late. I wrote back. Eat without me. I wasn't trying to punish her. I was busy. I approved a maintenance request, rekeyed a door that had been sticking, shot off emails. At 7, I headed home. She'd cooked. The table was set. Candle even. She poured wine and slid a plate toward me. Truce, she asked. I sat. Twirled pasta. If truce means no more public digs, sure. It was one joke. It was a pattern dressed as a joke. I corrected. We both know the difference. She took a sip, mouth tight. So you'll come Friday? No. You can stop asking. She exhaled through her nose. You're really going to be difficult about this. I'm not difficult, I said. I'm busy not training you to disrespect me. That's patronizing. Call it coaching and register for a class, I replied. Her eyes flashed. We ate in silence. After dishes, she stepped behind me at the sink, slid hands around my midsection, chin to my shoulder. I do like you, you know, she murmured. I know, I said. I did in her way. That wasn't the point anymore. The next day she texted again, gentle. You were right. I won't do it again. At noon she sent a photo of a packed lunch with a sticky note. For your empire. Cute. I sent a thumbs up. At 4 she followed with. Can I borrow your truck Saturday? Tessa's moving a dresser. Take the sedan, I answered. Truck's booked. I wasn't petty. I was closing loopholes. I put the spare truck key in my work safe. At home, I locked the glove compartment. It took 3 minutes. It bought a rule. Friday night, I stayed home and recocked the upstairs shower while she did comedy night. She came home late, hummed in the hallway, then stopped at the guest room door. You know what a lot of men don't do? She asked through the wood. Talk about their feelings. You know what a lot of women don't do? I returned. Stop when someone sets a boundary. You've got a lot of words for someone who won't talk. I've got policies, I replied. They don't need meetings. Saturday, she took the sedan. At noon, she sent a selfie of her and Tessa making faces with a wish you were fun caption. I didn't answer. I replaced weather stripping on the back door and scheduled a quote for the fence. At 3, I met Ben at a hardware store to pick up supplies for his deck. He looked uncomfortable, like a kid asking permission to stay out late. You okay? He asked, sliding boards into the bed. I'm good, I said. You know Hannah, she likes an audience. I finished for him. I'm cutting that line. He nodded, relieved. Marcy told her last night that she went too far. Marcy's not wrong. I told her too, Ben added, as if that could fix anything. It's not a group project, I said. But thanks. That evening Marcy called to invite us to her birthday in 2 weeks. Casual, she promised. Backyard, cake, music. Come, okay. I'll be there, I said. Separate car policy still applies. Copy, she said, and laughed like she appreciated the clarity more than the sentiment. The following Wednesday, I stopped at a bar near the office to watch a game on the mounted TV and eat something that had never seen our kitchen. The barkeep, Danny, knows me by my no-nonsense order, a burger with nothing extra. She's also a friend of Marcy's. Small-town energy in a big-town zip code. She set my plate down and leaned on her forearms. You doing okay? She asked. I'm fine, I told her. She tilted her head. You sure? What did you hear? Not here. See, she glanced at the TV, then back at me. That line she dropped at game night. People keep repeating it like it's cute. It wasn't. Yeah, I said, chewing. It wasn't. You're a good man, Ethan, she went on. You show up. You fix things. You don't make it about you. She's dead wrong. I set the burger down, wiped my hands. Say that again. You're a good man, she repeated. I'm not throwing confetti. I'm saying I watch people all day, and I can tell when someone respects themselves. And when someone burns that respect for applause. She raised her eyebrows, giving me a second to refuse the gift. I didn't. Thanks, I said. Do what you need to do, she added, straightening a coaster. Don't explain it to anyone who wasn't there. While we talked, my phone buzzed. Group thread, Hannah, Tessa, and 3 others from the comedy night. Tessa had posted a meme about some guys being like treadmills, fine for maintenance if you're not expecting results, followed by crying laughing faces. Hannah had added a winky face and tagged me. I stared at it. Not a slip. A system. I put the phone down face down and finished my burger. Danny poured me water. You okay? I'm done, I told her, and meant it in a way I hadn't meant it before. Need a ride? She asked, half joke. I need a folder, I said. And a plan. The next day on my lunch break, I met with a lawyer, quiet office, quiet woman who spoke in bullet points. I didn't dramatize. I asked questions, made notes. We drafted papers. I set up a P.O. box. I opened a separate bank account and redirected my direct deposit. I rented a small storage unit on the edge of town and moved my tools, my childhood baseball glove, the good power drill, my granddad's watch, the documents you can't replace. I subscribed to a new calendar app and made 2 lists, house to fix before exit and things to leave. I slept at home, but I wasn't living there in my head. That evening, I came in with a box from my office. Hannah looked up from the couch. Are we moving? She asked, flippant. I am. I answered, setting the box in the guest room. Not tonight. Soon. Oh, you're cute, she said. Is this another boundary speech? No speech, I replied. Just fewer shared calendars. Going forward, text me only about bills and logistics. Everything else can wait. She sat up. So you're not even going to try? I tried, I countered. When I asked you to stop turning me into content, you doubled down. It was just. No, I held up a hand. Stop performing definition arguments. You know what it was. She stared, mouth a line. Then she switched tactics. Second act of the same play. She stood, came over, and pressed herself against me, voice soft. I miss you, she murmured. I miss us. You miss applause, I said, not unkind. This isn't that. She pulled back, wounded. You're cruel. No, I said. I'm precise. I stepped around her. I'll be at Marcy's birthday. Separate car. If you want to talk before then, text me a time and a topic. She looked like she wanted to hurl something that would stick. She didn't. She went back to the couch and turned up her show. 2 days later, she tried the opposite angle, public warmth. At our neighbor Doug's grill night, she laced her arm through mine and told his wife, Ethan's the most dependable guy I know. He can do anything. Then, within the same breath, she added, except show up at my comedy nights. He's allergic to fun. A round of chuckles. Doug wiped his hands on a towel and glanced at me the way people look at a dog they suspect is going to bite. I put my plate down. Quick announcement, I said, calm, like I was calling a safety meeting. I don't do public digs, friendly or otherwise. If that's how tonight's going, I'm out. Hannah blinked. I was complimenting you. Half, I agreed. I'm allergic to the other half. I set my drink on the fence post, took my keys out of my pocket. Thanks for the burgers, Doug. Always, he said, grateful not to be in the middle. I left. No scene. Just a car door closing and a small relief at the silence inside my truck. At home, I finished the fence quote, sent it to 3 contractors, and paid the gas bill from my new account. I sent Hannah a text, out of Doug's. Next time, keep it clean or go without me. She didn't answer. Monday, she was suddenly attentive again. Pack me a lunch. For your empire, the note said again. I took it, ate it, said thank you. I wasn't made of stone. That night she came into the guest room with a blanket and adjusted it on my legs like a nurse. I'm trying, she said softly. I see it, I answered. And I see where it points. Where? She asked. To the next ask, I replied. The ask came 20 minutes later. How about you take a night off from being mad and come to wine night with the girls on Thursday? They miss you. I typed back. That's not a night off. That's a shift. She didn't reply. The next morning, she slammed cabinet doors just enough to communicate displeasure without committing to it. I drank coffee, read an inspection report, and headed out early. On my way, I stopped at the storage unit and added a box labeled winter coats in my toolbox. In the truck mirror, I watched my face while I locked the unit. It looked like a man who'd already left. 2 days before Marcy's birthday, Hannah crossed the kitchen with a bright smile and a calendar on her phone. I figured out your separate car thing, she chirped. We'll meet there. But can you bring the big cooler? Marcy asked me to ask you. Marcy can ask me. I said, I'll bring it. And can you also pick up cupcakes in the afternoon? She swamped. Text me the address. I replied. I'll deliver, then bounce. You're not staying? Not long, I said. Depends on the material. You're impossible, she huffed. Unavailable, I corrected. There's a difference. That night, she came into the guest room again, this time with a photo album from our first year. She set it on my lap. Remember this? She asked, tapping at a picture of us painting the living room, both of us covered in smears. I remember, I said. We were good, she whispered. We were kind, I answered. Then you learned that a room laughs when you throw me under it. She closed the book. You're not funny anymore. I'm not competing with your audience, I told her. That's all. She left the room without slamming the door. Progress of a kind, not the kind that matters. The morning of Marcy's birthday, I drove to the lawyer's office on my way to pick up cupcakes. I signed the last page. The clerk stapled, handed me a copy, and said a sentence that changed the shape of my day. I put the packet in a manila envelope and slid it under the truck seat. Then I bought 24 cupcakes, a bag of ice for the cooler, and took the long way to Marcy's, the kind of long way you take when you're not procrastinating, you're savoring. I delivered the cupcakes to Marcy's kitchen. She hugged me like she meant it. You too good? She asked, airing the question like a towel. I'm good, I said. I noticed the separate car thing, she added quietly. I noticed the math too, I replied. She nodded. Do what you have to do. In the backyard, Ben was setting up a speaker, muttering about Bluetooth. I fixed it in 30 seconds. He grinned, gratitude uncomplicated as a thumbs up. People started arriving. Sun through the trees, paper plates, music that sat in the background. Hannah came in an hour later in a bright dress like a billboard. She made a round, kisses on cheeks, jokes for the center of the circle. She saw me near the cooler and drifted over. So you did come, she said with a smile you'd use on a neighbor, not a husband. I brought cupcakes, I answered. You're not staying long, right? She asked, challenging me to stay. I'll stay long enough to be polite, I told her. Polite, not available. She smirked. We'll see. She turned, clinked a glass with a spoon. Quick toast for Marcy, she called out. People gathered. To our favorite hostess, who keeps the rest of us from falling apart. Even Ethan can't resist your parties, and he's allergic to joy. A polite laugh washed over the yard. She looked right at me. It wasn't an accident. It never is. Stop, I said, just loud enough for the circle to hear. New rule. You want to include me, you do it without the dig. It was a joke, she shot back, smile stretched thin. Then here's mine. I replied, and reached under the cooler for the envelope I'd tucked there before I carried it in. I already filed. Tuesday morning. I handed her the packet. The yard went quiet the way microphones go quiet when a cord is pulled. Her mouth opened. You what? I filed, I repeated. Calm. Not cruel. You can keep the crowd. You don't get to keep me. Her face twitched like a stage light blown midline. You're making a scene. No, I said. I'm ending one. I turned to Marcy, lifted a cupcake. Happy birthday. Thanks for the invite. Marcy blinked hard, recovered, and nodded. Thank you for the cupcakes. Hannah grabbed my forearm. You can't do this here. I can, I answered, gently removing her hand. Because you've been doing it here for months. I looked around the circle, not to recruit, but to confirm I wasn't hiding. Clarity's a public service. Ben opened his mouth, closed it, then said, Need a plate for the road, man? Trying to give me an exit that wasn't an exit. I appreciated it anyway. I'm good, I said. I set the cupcake down, picked up my keys, and walked to the gate. Behind me, I heard someone exhale, someone else whisper, the clink of a glass set down a bit too hard. I didn't look back. I didn't need a soundtrack. In the driveway, Hannah caught up. You're throwing away a marriage because of a few jokes. I'm ending a performance, I answered. The marriage went when you decided applause was more important than respect. I can fix it, she rushed. I'll stop. I'll delete things. You already rehearsed that line, I said. We both know the cue. I opened the truck door. You'll get details this week. Use the joint account for the mortgage until the month turns. After that, split as discussed. You're cold, she hissed, finally letting herself be as sharp as she felt. I'm disciplined, I answered, started the engine, and left. I didn't move in with anyone. I didn't do anything dramatic. I signed a short-term lease on a one-bedroom above an insurance agency with a decent view of a tree that had made it farther in life than most trees I've met. I bought a second-hand couch and a new coffee maker. I brought over my baseball glove and my granddad's watch. I liked the sound of traffic as a timer for how long things take to heal. Work was still work. Luis and Marco still argued about elevators. I showed up on time and left on time and fixed what was mine to fix. I took the storage unit contents in 4 trips. On the 3rd trip, I ran into Danny at the bar and told her, "It's done." She lifted a glass of water and a toast. "You look taller." "It's the shoes," I joked. "You're good," she said again, not in a way that asked for a reaction. I didn't give one. That was the best part. Hannah tried 3 strategies over the next month. First, silence. No texts, no calls, the punishment she thinks fits men who walk. Then, diplomacy. An email about splitting the dog we don't have, about friends, about who gets what houseplant. I replied with 2 sentences. Use the list in the packet. If you need something that isn't listed, propose it in writing. Third, nostalgia. Photos of us painting the living room, vacation snapshots, a voice memo where she sounded like the person from our first year. I didn't delete any of it. I just didn't step back into a room I'd already left. News travels. People made their choices. Ben stayed friendly. Marcy texted me a month later. "How are you?" I wrote back, settled. She answered, "Good." No emojis. Real conversation in 4 words. The last time I saw Hannah was in a grocery store aisle. She reached for a carton of eggs. I was grabbing coffee. She looked at me like a door she wasn't sure would open. "You win," she said, which made me laugh because my life isn't a tournament. "There's no trophy," I told her. "Just peace." "I thought you'd at least explode," she admitted. "Make it messy." "I don't do messy," I said. "I do decisions." "Do you ever miss it?" she asked, a sliver of truth in the question. "I miss when we were kind," I said. "That's all." She nodded, then pretended to examine yogurts she didn't want. I paid for my coffee and left. In the parking lot, a breeze pushed a receipt past my boot like a little white flag. I didn't pick it up. The world didn't need my commentary. Here's the part you want. The part people ask for when they lean in and try to learn without admitting they're learning. My life didn't explode into fireworks. It got orderly. I wake up early. I run the loop around the lake near my new place. I drive my truck without checking the glove box for missing keys. Saturdays, I help Ben finish his deck, then we sit on it and give each other grief about crooked boards. There's a woman from accounting in my building, Erin, who says good morning like she means both words. We got coffee twice. No speeches, no performances. Friends come by, and we grill on a little portable I bought, and nobody clinks a glass to start a toast at my expense. I keep a calendar for myself and a second one for the non-negotiables. There's quiet in my life, not the cold kind, the useful kind. As for Hannah, I hear things because people can't not tell you. She's still at the parties, still loud, but the laughs aren't crisp like they were. They thin out. A couple unfollowed her. Someone made a joke back, and she didn't like the taste of it. She moved to a smaller place across town. That's not my story. It's just a footnote. When men ask me what I did that worked, I give them my whole answer instead of the part that earns applause. I changed my rules. I separated money. I left events where I was the punchline. I said no and meant it. I made logistics my friend. I filed quietly. I told the truth once, clearly, at a backyard party where the grass was freshly cut and the paper plates were bending under too much potato salad. And then I walked to my truck and drove away from the noise. That's it. No soundtrack. No trophy. Just peace that I didn't have to sell to anyone else. Hannah wanted to keep the attention and keep me as the furniture that holds it up. She kept the first thing. I took the second with me.